I'm going to start the sphere. So I'm just going to start with a form, and I'm going to start just to the right of center because I want to have light coming in from the right side, and then I want my shadow. There's got to be room for a shadow over here, so I just use the form and pencil to draw a nice circle. And then I'm just going to do this from memory, but I'll go ahead and get started with, let's just do blue. So I have some blue paint. We'll do a little white. And then I'm going to grab a little black too. So my general sphere, I'm going to go ahead and just give the whole thing like a blue tint. Okay, and then I want to have a background in there, so I'm going to have it be darker on top, as if it's sitting on a surface of a table. So I'm just going to do gray, keep it kind of monochromatic. So black and white. We'll do a little white, a little black, and I'm just going to do reverse. So on the top section, I'll do about halfway in between. And then I can work on the negative space too. And this can be done in your sketchbook. Like if you prepare a sketchbook just with like plain white paint, or you can even paint it gray, let it dry. It'll be a little easier to blend than if you just do, straight on your paper by itself. So I'm just going to loosen up this paint that I have on there with some water. Okay, and then the bottom I want it to be a little bit lighter than that, so I'll add more white. Okay, so let's do, oops, I went over that a little. So when you're covering a large space, you can blend right on the surface of your paper or board or whatever you're using. I don't need this to be completely smooth, and I don't need the edges to be exact, just because this is a study on the sphere itself. Okay, so if my light's coming in from this direction, from right to left, I'm going to go ahead and paint in. I'm going to use a little black and then the original blue. And I'm going to say that my shadow is going to be doing something like this. Now, I've been telling you guys that the shadow is going to be darkest, the closest to the object. And so I'm going to sort of blend this paint out with a soft edge on the very end. My brush is separating. Okay, so this is a softer edge, which means it's a little bit fuzzy, and then it's going to get harder or tighter the closer to the object that you are. So, and darker. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little more black right here. And then, again, this can have a little bit of a tint of blue. Because that reflected light off the object is going to reflect onto the surface. So I'm just going to add a tint of blue in that. And then my brush strokes, if you notice, are going in the same direction as my as the object, the sphere or the subject. And so I did get a little bit PC in there. While it's wet, I'm going to hit that again with some of the black, blue, and a little white. So, okay, so that's a lot of paint on my brush. It's a little too much paint. I'm just going to wipe that off and then blend this out. Okay, so now I can add, I'm going to wash my brush off, and then I'm just going to push that excess paint over a bit with some water. Whoops. Okay. Boy, my brush is all frayed. I'm going to just keep going. Okay, now my highlight is going to be hitting this area, and I'm going to imagine that it's just a bulb, so it's round. So that means that the surface of my object, the highlight, is also going to be round, because round plus round equals round. So I'm going to grab some white. So I'm just using white, blue, and black, and this can obviously be done in any color. So I'm going to throw some blue on there, and then I'm going to see what my brush looks like. Okay, there's too much water on my brush. So you kind of have to figure out like how much water versus pigment that you need in order to make a smooth surface and transitions. So I'm going to start pretty light, but it's not going to be completely light. So I'm just going to start here, and then I'm going to get darker like in here. This is, oops, it's got to be darker than that. Your core shadow, this is the core shadow, so that's the darkest spot. Okay, and then I'm going to wipe my brush, and then I want to blend those two together. So let's see what happens here. And notice my brush strokes are matching the surface of the object. Okay, so hopefully now it will blend nicely, because it's all has a little moist pigment on there. And I'm just kind of pushing the surface of the paint around. Okay, this kind of lost its blue, so I want some of that blue to come back. So with painting, you kind of have to deal with like a push-pull of tone and value. Okay, now I'm going to work on that highlight. It's disappeared. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. And then I would go back in and like clean up, like I see the white of the canvas peeking through, and I'm not a fan of that, so then I would just go in and kind of make some touch-ups with that kind of thing. So I'll go ahead and do that, but as far as making the sphere, that's the end of that, okay?
I know, bro. I was there. It doesn't straight here.